Welcome, everybody. My name is Chuck Colgrove, and have the honor of calling this meeting to order this evening. So welcome to our very first community council meeting of 2021. And let me start by saying thank you for your patience. Normally, this would be our second meeting, but at the request of the district office, due to just, as you all know, the unusual nature of the school year. They requested that we slow down, be a little bit more patient this year. And so we let them kind of ease into the year in September. And here we are this evening getting started. I think it's going to be a really great, there's obviously going to be a lot to talk about. So I think it's going to be a great year for us as a community council to hear from the district, to hear from other community leaders, and for us to really be a part of the voice of a positive answer to our community in terms of the good things that are happening on our campus. So I want to just at first say thank you for your patience. Second, I want to encourage you just to extend a measure of grace for these meetings. We are all in this Zoom world together. Many of you, like me, you're probably on Zoom calls all day long. You're probably a little bit tired of looking at a screen. And I got to tell you, I'd much rather be in person as well. So we're just going to have to give a little bit of grace for this time. So if you feel like you have something to say, just be patient. We're going to try to get to everybody. But the actual first order of business this evening is for us to actually approve the minutes from this, the May 14th, 2020 meeting, which was also a Zoom call as we closed out the school year. So I believe I'll be able to do this. I need somebody to motion for the minutes to be approved. If I can have a first motion.
Motion to approve.
Thank you so much. Can you identify yourself for our notes?
This is Ed Borelli, second.
Thank you so much, Ed. And do I have a second?
I was seconding Tom's motion.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for the second. And all in favor with a thumbs up? And any of the opposed, thumbs down? Looks like the thumbs up have it. So thank you so much. Brandy, if you'll go ahead and put it in the minutes for this meeting that the May 14th, 2020 minutes are approved. For now, I would like to turn it over for our superintendent's report. And I see that Dr. Pruitt-Adams has joined us today. So thank you so much, Dr. Pruitt-Adams, and the floor is yours.
Hey, can everyone hear me? Okay. I'm going to be very brief because I'm actually in a board meeting as well. And Mr. Johnson was presenting when I left, and I present after him. But I'm glad to see everyone. Mr. Greg Johnson and I are your reps from the administration. So I'm just going to give you a quick update. As you know, we have students who are coming on campus. We said that in our August 5th presentation. So right now with Intro to Auto Technology, we have one class of 24 students that are returning on A days, and that started September the 28th. This group has been broken down into pods of 8 students each. Our Introduction to Woodworking has 2 classes of 24 students each, which come in on Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays, and that started September the 28th. And this group too is broken down into pods of 8 students each. Students in need of tech support through surveys and outreach, we've identified a list of 40. And we will have 13 of those students who will start with us next Monday, and we will gradually phase them in. Our driver's ed program has had students on site since the beginning of school, and we've already taken approximately 100 students through the driver's ed. With regards to marching band, this program is meeting in the afternoons and evenings after remote learning is completed. and they are using the same protocols that we use that are aligned with the IHSA approved for in-person activities. Our music people practice after their remote learning is complete each day. And so we are opening up our practice rooms for those students to come in. Also, we had the SAT test where we were able to have approximately 200 students who were at a social distance, and that was in September. Also, just to update, we do have our SPED, we have 2 learning labs that have 16 students in them for our special education SED students and team students. And we are in the process of trying to bring more of them on board as well. We have established an advisory committee. It's called the Reimagine OPRF Advisory Committee. And that committee consists not only of district staff and school level staff, but community partners as well. Our community partners are, we have a physician from Rush Oak Park Hospital. We have a project manager. We have the vice president of Northwestern Medical Region Medical Group. We have a construction consultant who is also a member of the D90 school board. We have 2 pediatricians. We have an attorney. We also have a doctor who is over infectious diseases. We also have another person with experience in infectious diseases, virology, and vaccines, and we have a consultant, and we have representatives from D97 and D90, and a racial equity consultant and a strategic planner. We also have one of the members, and we're seeking 2 of the members of that committee to also serve as liaisons to the OPRF Reimagine Education Broader Steering Committee. I wish I had time today to answer any questions. Or meeting dates, I will tell you that, are October 15th, October 20th, 29th, November 10th, November 27th, and December the 1st. So we're meeting almost weekly through the end of the semester, and then the group will meet once a month throughout the second semester. If there are any questions, if you would just email them to me, because I need to get back to the board meeting. Thank you. Have a wonderful year. Thank you very much for allowing me to pop in.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Dr. Pruitt-Adams. Thanks for sneaking in. It was a nice surprise to see you this evening, and we hope you have a good evening.
Thank you. And we are working on a hybrid plan. Our first draft presentation to the board is November the 19th, and then the final presentation is December 3rd.
Excellent.
Take care, everyone.
Fantastic. Normally, council at this time, we would actually have an opportunity to ask some questions or make some comments to Dr. Pruitt-Adams or Mr. Johnson if they were available. Because of the nature of this year, their schedules, as you can understand, are a little bit different. So again, thank you for patience. If you do have a question for Dr. Pruitt-Adams, feel free to email her. She will respond. We've been in direct communication over the last few days. They respond timely, in a timely fashion. So if you have questions, feel free to respond, and they will be back for the November meeting. And we'll make sure that we have an extended time after the report to be able to ask some of the questions that I know we all want answered in terms of being on campus, in terms of how the e-learning, remote learning is going for several of you. Normally on this first meeting of the year, we take time to do introductions. Because of the nature of Zoom calls, we're gonna hold those introductions until a later call, or for the opportunity, just maybe, to be in person in the second semester. Now that is only my own wishes. That is not the reflection or the opinion of the district. That's just me hoping that we might be back a little bit more to normal come the second semester. So we'll hold the overall introductions of everyone on the council until a later date. But I do just want to take a moment and just thank Jenny Faulkner and John Keller and Brandy Wyndham, the lead team, for all their work they put in beginning in August as we've prepped for this meeting and as we prep for future meetings. So thank you, lead team, council, for what you're doing. And now I want to turn the floor. We should have some district reports. District 200. Matt, are you in the room? Okay. We'll pass on District 200. How about District 90? Judy, are you in the room? There, I see Judy's name. Judy, are you able to present on District 90, please?
There's some people from the district on the call tonight, and they'll be familiar with the fact that we, on Monday or Tuesday night, approved a hybrid plan to go back to school in phases. So the elementary students will start being phased back in, and then towards the end of the month and beginning of November, at this point, we're planning to also phase in the middle school children. We also have the option to remain 100% remote for all children as well. So the parents will be making a commitment to either choice, whether it's attending hybrid or remaining remote. They will need to stick with that choice through the end of our first semester, which is January 21st. So we're hoping that all will go smoothly. Everything has been very carefully planned out with our advisory panel. And of course, everything will be evaluated as necessary when we have, as information about COVID and the rates of infection continue to be updated.
Excellent. Thank you, Judy. Thank you for that report. How about District 97? Rob or Cherie, are you in the room? Going once. I know it's a busy night throughout the community, so we'll get to hear from them at the next meeting. Moving forward, we are gonna break out, as is our normal approach on the very first meeting of the year for the council, is if you've been in one in the past, if you're a return member, you would remember that we break out and have some brainstorming sessions on topics to be covered. It's a little easier with whiteboards or big sticky notes, but here we are online. So earlier, just a few minutes earlier before the call started, you should have received an email from John Keller that gives you some details for going into a breakout call. I have the list in front of me. I'm just going to go through this list quickly before everybody starts leaving. And then what I'm going to say is if you'll take about 15 minutes with your group to talk through some ideas, and then we'll come back together and we'll discuss. We'll hear from each team on the ideas that were shared in the breakout. So the first breakout, if your last name begins with A or ends with C, so A through C, you're gonna stay actually right here on this particular room. Don't leave.
Chuck, I hate to interrupt, but we did not break out the rooms that way because I didn't have enough time to alphabetize by last name.
Okay, so what do you recommend?
So I sent an email to everybody that is a member that tells you what group you're in.
Okay.
And how to log into it. So what I would suggest is that you pull up that email for me. You should have received it about 20 minutes ago, maybe a half hour at this point. And if you have not received an email, please speak up now. Oh, okay. So in those emails, there is an attachment. And if you go to the attachment, for the correct group that you're in and you click it, you'll be sent to the next group. If you're in group 1, you just have to stay on this call. So you don't have to do anything else. And then I would suggest we pick a time, maybe 8:10, where we close out those groups and come back to the main Zoom call, which is this call. Sound good? Everybody giving me a thumbs up for that? Okay.
Yeah.
So when you get to your group, the leader will explain to you what we're going to discuss, and we'll go from there. So I look forward to seeing everybody back here at 8:10. Sound good, Chuck?
That sounds good.
Okay, so you're off to your groups.
Make sure you double click on the attached. It's showing as a picture. Make sure you double click on it.
Hey, Chuck.
Yes. Yes.
If you want to, they have me down for group 1. If you want to swap, we can. If you want to stay in the main room.
Okay.
Which group were you given? Because I think I have the link to all of them.
Group 2.
Okay, so I'll go to group 2 then.
Thank you, Brandy.
You'll stay group 1. Okay.
Okay, everybody, come back at 8:10. We'll see you. There we go. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for sticking around and being a part of this. What we're going to do is actually just kind of brainstorm for a few minutes. So if you're a first-time council member, we do have some time. I would like to just maybe take a little second and get to know y'all. So my name is Chuck Colgrove. This is actually my 4th year on the community council. I've graduated 2 young men through the high school. My middle son graduated last year, part of the 2020 class that got all the special treatment for graduation. And I have 13-year-old twins who are currently at Julian that are anticipating the opportunity to get to come to the high school. So that is where I'm at. I love this council because I love to hear the information from the district firsthand. It's a joy to be able to just share that information with the people in my world and in my community. So it's a great thing to be a part of. Kate, since I know you, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Good evening. Thanks, Chuck. So Chuck and I actually share in common having 4 boys and having twins. This is my last year having kids in every level of school. I have twins in 10th grade. My twins are my oldest versus Chuck's are his youngest. And so I have 2 in driver's ed right now, which is terrifying. I've got 1 in 8th grade and 1 in 3rd grade. So we're at Bi School, Julian, and OPRF right now. And this is my first meeting of this committee. I do know, I've recognized several names in the group, so I'm excited about that. And I'm really interested in how to engage further with this group and how to make it better. And I'm going to pass it to Kara Bush because she's next to me.
I didn't find the unmute button, sorry. My son, Sam, is in 10th grade, 15, also about to start driver's ed in the spring. So I too am terrified. And my daughter graduated in 15. So I've already been through the whole OPRF process before. And I'm looking forward to finding out what we're gonna get done this meeting too. I didn't actually even hear of this group, but my daughter was at OPRF. So I'm looking forward to learning besides contributing. Should I be tossing it to someone?
Please.
Okay, how about Anthony?
Hey, Chuck. Sorry.
Yes.
Mine's prompting me for a password, but I'm not sure.
Me too.
It's not-
Okay. Jenny, I'm going to forward you an email from Teslin.
Okay, thanks. I think that would
Yep.
be the one we're missing.
Yeah, my link is not working. It's saying I'm not authorized.
Okay. And who is
So I
that?
just bumped here. Mary Pico.
Mary? Okay, it's on the way, Mary. I'll send it to
Okay.
you. Well, look for an email from me.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. Can I hang here till it gets? I'll get it.
Should be on its way.
I was trying to scroll through to see if there was any other Anthony's. I don't think so. I think it's probably me.
Okay.
Yeah, this is my second year on the council. We had a senior that graduated last year. We have a sophomore, and then we have an 8th grader who's on his way next year. I'm looking forward to participating in more of these. I travel a lot for work, so I made it about half the time last year. And I'm grounded with COVID. So I'm looking forward to attending more often and being more of a part of it.
Excellent. Thanks, Anthony. How about Amy? Uh-oh. We can't hear you, Amy.
How's that?
There we go.
Okay, sorry. I think I was double muted on my phone and on the Zoom app. So I have a sophomore and a senior at the high school, and I was on the committee last year, and I found it really helpful to know what was going on. I'm looking forward to this year.
Excellent.
And
How about Summer? All right, Anil?
Hi, this is my first year on the council. I'm not exactly sure, how I'm going to contribute. Hopefully it will be a learning experience. I have a sophomore, 15-year-old daughter. So yeah, I'm not looking forward to driver's ed. It's too early. What else? I do have Kara and Kabrib, I think, on the council, and I do recognize a bunch of parents, through faces. So it's great to see all of you.
Excellent. Thank you, Neil.
Pass it to Judy.
Hi, I'm Judy DeGracias. I'm a board member of District 90, so I'm here in that capacity. My son is a junior, and then I have a daughter who's in 8th grade as well, and I'm also an OPRF alum. And I'm just here to better understand what initiatives are going on at District 200 so that I can report back for District 90's board, as well as share what's going on with District 90 with all of you.
Excellent.
And my son got his driver's license in June after things opened back up, and I'm proud to report he's actually a pretty good driver. So let your kids surprise you.
That's right. That's right. Summer, are you able to unmute and introduce yourself? Okay, how about Rowan Rogers?
Hi, everyone. I have 3 boys, 10th grade, 9th grade, and my youngest is 6th grade. And I was on the council last year, and just listening to everyone talk about driver's ed. My oldest is actually in the driver's ed program. He was able to start in the summer and is still doing behind the wheel training now, but have felt very comfortable and very impressed with the program there. So happy that he's getting very good instruction there. And I enjoyed last year mostly just staying connected with what's happening in the community and doing our part to have another voice to what friends and neighbors are feeling as part of this council. So, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And Renee.
Hello, everyone. How are you? My name is Renee, and I actually have a junior at OPRF who's not happy that there's no in-person learning. He wanted me to make sure I make that statement. And that's pretty much it. I'm super excited to be part of such a diverse group of people, and I'm looking forward to working with everyone and getting some good work done. Pleasure.
Excellent. Thank you, Renee. So our plan for the next few minutes is really just to kind of open up our mics and talk about topics that would interest us, topics we believe that should be discussed in this council. What I can tell you is it's a non-governing council. We're not going to vote on anything for the school, but really the idea of the community council began many years ago as kind of a partnership between the district and the community as a way for us to be able to share information with our own community, with the circle of influence that we have as community members, and be able to hear from the district, hear from the superintendent, hear from Mr. Johnson, and the other board representation from the other districts, and then be able to share that in our circle. When people say, well, I don't really know what's going on, or I've heard this about the high school, there'll be a good enough group of people who have heard firsthand from the district administration and be able to share that information throughout the district. So it's kind of, it's not necessarily cheerleaders, but it is doing our best to support and to highlight really the incredible institution that OPRF is in this community and the great things that they are doing. You're going to hear great reports. Some of those reports are already prepared and planned, but what we have the opportunity to do is kind of brainstorm together for the next few minutes. And as we put together this list, present to the greater group as a way to identify that group. Jenny, you still can't get in?
No, yeah, I've got myself, Nancy, and Misty. We can't get in.
Are you
Me
in
too.
group?
I can't get in either in group 3, Leslie Truelove.
Yeah.
So I'll just hang out here. It says it needs a password.
But I'm not sure what password we're supposed to use. Did you say?
Yeah.
You're all welcome here. Just stay here.
Okay.
It's not OPRFHS. It's
No. Jenny, what group were you supposed to be in?
3. But there's
Group 3.
Did you use the link in the chat bar?
Yeah. I texted John Keller as well. He said that he was in group 4. He didn't have any issues. So I don't know what happened to group 3, but maybe we'll just stay here.
Zoom just instituted today some changes in their protocol that is, I've experienced. I've been on Zoom since 10:30 this morning, and I have experienced this a couple of times with changes that were implemented today in the Zoom system.
Okay.
maybe that's what's
Unfortunate.
throwing it off.
Yeah.
I'm also checking as well on my end, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm supposed to be in group 3, but it's asking me for a passcode and I didn't see a passcode in the email.
Yeah.
That's what we're discussing right now. You are one of maybe 4 others in the room right now with us who can't get into group 3. I'm looking at the email list.
5.
5. There we go. Okay,
Looking
well,
at 6, Renee can't get in group 3 also.
Maybe send out an email to everybody just saying group 3, go back to the main chat, to the main Zoom.
Yeah, I was just looking for the
Sure.
on the
I'll see if I can see
Can
John.
you do that, Jenny?
Yeah, I'll find the email and send it back to everybody.
Okay. So for those of you that just joined us, thank you. We are just going to brainstorm for the next few minutes ideas that we would like to discuss or hear about from the district. Can range from really anything from, last year a big topic was the new curriculum for English and math. So any of those topics, any of the student life topics. So just encourage you to open up your mics, speak up, and then when we're done, before we go back and everybody joins us at 8:10, we'll pick one of you to share our ideas with the group. If you look in the chat, the password just got listed for breakout 3.
Okay.
Hey, Chuck, this is Anthony. I have one. I suspect
Yes.
I suspect everybody will want to talk about return to school, and I suspect everybody will want to talk about the new curriculum. I have one slightly different. I'd like to talk about moderate access to the school. So things like tutoring, one-on-one teacher conferencing, access to counselors, et cetera. So is there a medium ground between totally virtual learning and going back, even if it's a hybrid, going back somewhere in the middle where students can get access to the services that they need while working or while going to school virtually?
Awesome. Great
Hi,
idea.
this is Froween. I would echo what Anthony said. One big topic that I keep hearing is, again, just a plan, at least, to understand when there could be a possibility of getting back to in-person school. And then the second thing that I kept hearing over and over again was for the freshmen, the new freshmen, is there a particular way that they can think about how they can get to know one another, being brand new to the high school? A lot of kids are they're interested in a lot of the clubs, but they can't find things that are of interest in a way that they probably would with different things and activities that they would have in person. So just another way to help integrate the freshmen is something I keep hearing.
Awesome. Thank you. Kate, you want to share your idea?
Sure. So I know that there's there's discussion of hybrid opportunities in D97, D90, D200. There will be families who are not able or comfortable with their kids going back to school, and what are the ideas of how we manage those expectations, and how do we how can we support our kids who can't go back in the building for whatever reason, and who still need to access learning and some social emotional supports. Also, I've got a kid in pottery. And I've got a kid with a 504 who doesn't even have a meeting until mid-December. That's a little concerning to me, but he has a lot of other support and resources. So I manage it on my side. But thinking about families that don't have that capacity to address it from the home side, that seems kind of unacceptable to me for kids with 504s to be waiting until December to even have their meeting.
Correct. That's good. I know that in my initial meeting with Dr. Pruitt-Adams and Mr. Johnson, Jenny Faulkner and I, our first meeting together, the November meeting will be coming off of a survey that's gone out that will be a help to us to understand, a lot of the feedback from the community, a lot of the feedback from the student population. So that is something we're looking forward to hearing in November, the results of the survey that is being conducted. Any other ideas? Anybody care to speak up other ideas?
I'm jumping in. I'm from group 3, but we had a technical difficulty. So I'm back in the room. Hi, I'm Miss Steelson. So I'm actually on the advisory committee for OPRF. So nothing started yet, but again, I apologize. I don't know where you guys were in the conversation. I do know that we are tasked with having a draft plan by that November meeting. So I'm anticipating a survey going out sooner because we're supposed to have a draft plan by the November meeting with a final hybrid plan by December 3rd.
Okay.
So that's the timeline we've been given. The expectation or the hope based on the town hall is that any teacher negotiations will have taken place and we'll understand what teachers are available to come back to the building and where there might be gaps. And that on that December 3rd meeting, that will be the final vote, hopefully. That's when the final plan's supposed to be presented. I'm assuming it will go to vote that night in a perfect world. I think the really big question mark out there is what has been said in prior meetings is it could be implemented sometime in the second semester. So I think what I have heard is there is an urgency to getting that implemented. If we can get a plan approved in December, how quickly, can we get that implemented? And can we start as soon as we return from the winter break and start phasing kids back into school? And questions I would have are, what is the priority of those students? Is it freshmen because they have the least amount of connections? Is it based on academic performance to date? How can we get our most vulnerable students in? They certainly should have the priority and things of that nature. So at least from my perspective, those are the things I'm thinking about, hoping and assuming that, kind of the group will be thinking about those same things as well. But to Kate's point, it does seem shocking that other schools in our counties not only have a plan, but are implementing those plans. And we are just at a stage where we're like, I guess we should get a committee to think about a plan. It feels like we're a little late to the game. I think that's a sentiment of a lot of the people in the community, and especially when it comes to our vulnerable kids. So anywho.
Awesome. Well, thanks for that. Thanks for that update. And yeah, I know that's going to be, this will be the hot topic every meeting, right? The hot topic is, when are we getting back? Any other ideas for topics you'd like to hear? Student population. I don't know if you were with us last year, one of the big buzzwords was the cell phone policy. And here we are in another year. I don't think my cell phone policy is I'm hoping my kids will put them down in the middle of class. But so any other ideas for conversations with
Chuck? I have one. This is Judy. I'm the facilities chairperson for the District 90 board. So facilities are always on my mind. And I know that'll also be very integral to the return to school program that they come up with. That there are, ventilation is a big, big concern. And, there are rooms in OPRF that don't have any ventilation. I mean, don't have windows to open. And so I'm sure that'll be a big concern, as well as all of the improvements that are going on, that we probably haven't been paying as close attention to.
Right. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Peter Case here. So one of the things I was thinking about, I don't know if this would be a venue for this, but just the vulnerable students, or the students that are not succeeding this year, is there, how do we, I guess the classic is, how do we support them? And then what will happen? So, I mean, some children are thriving in this environment and some children are not. And so those that are not, does that mean, this is a bigger question, does that mean that they repeat part of a year, that there's going to be summer school?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, how do we kind of scoop everybody up and make sure they go along, or that they're moving forward, but not just moving forward because?
I think, like learning loss, right? Like,
Yeah, thank
how do
you.
we account for this massive amount of learning loss, which will be more for some students than others?
And not only that, it's just like if we don't, in my mind, if we don't account for it now, that just compounds itself as these children continue to get older. So yeah, learning loss is a great way to put it.
Yeah, that's a good subject, because I know at the end of the year, we have the meeting, Pete, for you to bring it up, that we have a meeting where they actually give us the report of how students did. Those students, where the college admission and all of that. So great ideas. Does anybody feel like they want to present this to the bigger group when we start presenting? I notice it's 8:11 and people are coming back in. So main group, Kate, you want to do it? Did you take some notes, Kate? All right, Kate, you got it. We'll give everybody a minute or so to get back in.
Yes, please. Group 2, we're a little talkative, sorry. But
No
we're
worries.
coming back.
I got something that I was wondering, maybe we can consider doing one book, one school, one book in regards to something that would kind of unite us and kind of would address some of the issues that Blacks are having in the community as well as in the nation. I would kind of like it to come from a point of view where it's going to kind of explain historically what has happened to Black folks, where which will allow other people to kind of have a better understanding where a lot of the resentment and anger is coming from. Being that Black history is not mandatory, it's optional, being that the history lessons are usually watered down and they coming from media is one-sided. So maybe if we can really, get a book that would, explain the history, kind of walk through the friction, why it exists, how did the racism start, what it's been like for Black folks here on this soil, and kind of read that book and have discussions in circles around that, where we can really be transparent and educated at the same time. I think that'd be a great solution.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for that. And absolutely, that is something that is at the heart of our community and even our campus. I believe we have everybody back. Everybody made it back. Welcome back, everybody. Group 3, hope you did okay. Heard some of you were back and forth a little bit, so welcome back. I'm gonna ask, we're gonna go through presentations of some of the ideas that were shared in the breakout session. And if all goes well, everybody, we could be done early tonight. It will be a first for the Community Council first meeting of the year to be done early. So Kate Redding, will you present what the first group, the group that met in the main session, discussed?
You bet. I am Kate Redling. I am a parent in all 3 school levels, and I'm proud to represent Group 1. So thank you, Group 1, for your participation. And the notes that I have as far as what was brought to the table for what this committee should address is obviously the hybrid program, the coming back to school, the plan for how and when and who that is done is top of mind, specifically as that affects kids with 504, kids with lack of access to digital resources, and who comes back in when and where, how are we gauging learning loss, how is that being reported, and how are we tracking that. I would echo Renee's comment. She was adopted into Group 1 as well as Group 3. So I will include that one book, One Oak Park idea. I have lots of book ideas for how we could cover the subject of historical institutional racism and how it affects the day-to-day, everyday life right now, as well as the past and future outcomes in our high school with our kids. If I missed anything, please speak up.
I think you got it. So good.
Just the facilities aspect of things too, like what's going on with the improvements and also how they relate to the returning to school plan.
Excellent. All right, next group. Brandy, how did your group do?
I think I'm speaking for group 2. I'm
Thank you.
Heather Ash-Chanchiola. You're welcome. So we came up with several. There's probably going to be overlap between some of the other groups. Definitely want to discuss the racial equity plan, get a progress update on that. We realized that a lot has seemed to have been frozen because of COVID, but want to make sure that that is still in progress. Talking about the resource officers in the school, we seem to remember that there was something mentioned at a board meeting about replacing that program or ending that program. If it's being ended, what is it being replaced with for those non-police functions that our resource officers did serve? We want, as group 1, asked for an update on the construction. Someone had read about a request from the high school for more day-to-day dollars for basic maintenance, and wondering if it's on schedule, on budget, how many phases are completed. A big one, actually I'm going to say that one last, the freshman curriculum came up as well, if there's an update on that. Advisory, an update on whether or not that's going to be reconfigured. Right now it's 10 minutes, I think. I don't have a child at OPRF. My son was there last year. My daughter will be there next year, so just FYI. But is that going to be reconfigured again before we go back in person? And then the 2 things that go with in person, really curious about reporting COVID cases at the high school once we do return to in-person learning in any form. Right now, the Oak Park Health Department does report out 3 times a week on Oak Park cases. It was pointed out that River Forest is actually not included in those counts, even though they are a part of the OPRF population. They're taken in with the general Cook County numbers. So how is the high school going to be reporting cases as they come up? Will they be doing contact tracing? Will they communicate cases? How will they be contacting people? In what forms? And making sure that the River Forest numbers for those students also are broken out separately, since they're not included in the Oak Park Health Department. So getting as specific as possible without having to breach any confidentiality that comes with that. And what the specific plan is, of course, from the high school about that. I think someone mentioned that. The final thing that came up is we were talking about how our kids, especially the ones who are new to OPRF, but kids who've been there for a while, are expressing a lot of problems in terms of being able to recreate those kind of informal interactions that you get when you sit next to someone in a class or you run into them in the hallway. I know both of my kids really have no clue how to make friends unless it's accidental. So breakout rooms, the teachers are doing breakout rooms, and I guess there was a survey that said kids don't like that, and who does? But the point is, those are the interactions that happen after the breakout rooms. How do you find the kids who you might click with in a class? How do you identify that? And then how do you translate that into a more personal one-on-one interaction? We feel like this could be a good place for the advisory to dip in, maybe help the kids kind of make those connections, let them know it's okay to reach out to someone over a chat or over email and say, hey, you said this great thing in class, or you also like playing Magic, so do I, and have it not be like the olds are, trying to tell kids what to do, even though we've invented the virtual world, just gonna say. So that is our group 2 summary.
So good. Great report. Thanks, Heather. Well done, Brandy. John Keller, how'd your group do? Do you have somebody representing your group?
Our group was not nearly as thorough as the previous one. But Summer did a great job of writing down some ideas, and I'm going to let her take it from here.
Yep. I actually thought we did a lot of brainstorming and almost pretended like COVID wasn't happening. We did all this like very businessy thinking forward, but I did want to, I didn't have a chance to add in my group. But I wanted to build on the last, what Heather was just talking about as a mom of a freshman, the social emotional learning. I think, or whatever the school is doing about that or how they're thinking about it, to me is like almost #1 priority for, as an incoming freshman, my child only has one teacher who leaves his chat function on, and that is the only class where he's met a new person because he was able to continue a conversation. And that is the highlight of his high school experience so far, is meeting someone new. So I'm very curious how the school is thinking about that for freshmen. And now I will get to the list that my group so thoughtfully brainstormed up. Freshman curriculum, as other groups have talked about, obviously that's an important issue for everyone, and how that also is like just the general curriculum, how it's changing with e-learning, and how the general curriculum is going to change as kids go back to school. Our group also wanted an update on the cell phone policy. That was a big topic of conversation that we had last year. And obviously we're cognizant that the cell phone policy is going to be very different depending on if we go back in 2 months or if we don't go back for another year, where that falls, but we're still curious for an update on that, or if this administration has thoughts about this extra being so plugged in all the time. Digital literacy in general, if the administration is making an effort to do more education about digital literacy. I hear a lot from my child about how it seems like every teacher's on a different, everybody's proficiency and the technology delays is a huge stumbling block for my child on a daily basis. Also, the social media policy, that was one of our new members brought that up. Curious about what the school's thoughts are on a social media policy, if they have one, and how it might be changing in this COVID environment and then a post-COVID environment. Additionally, we had a lot of conversation, and I did my best to summarize it, but again, Tim or Robert, feel free to jump in if I don't summarize it well. But this idea, we talked about it in last year's council, but there's a stat out there that the class of 2022 should be prepared to be 50 to 60% self-employed for like their whole career. And we want to know what the administration is doing to kind of be cognizant of that and to actually empower kids on all the different learning paths that they might need in order to be proficient and functional and capable in that way, building their own brand. And an update on the partnerships. I know last year the school was doing a lot more work to diversify learning paths and creating partnerships. So we'd love an update on that and how that might, better facilitate this trajectory that we're seeing as inevitable for these students. And also that OPRF has a school of business, and if somehow the School of Business can be brought more into, I don't remember how you said it, Robert, sorry. how to best bring awareness to all students about the School of Business and how that might play a better role in empowering kids to basically be self-employed, if that's the trajectory we see. So I'm looking at my bullet points, I hope I got it. Did I get it? Okay, thank you, Robert. The next is as I think everybody else said, what's the plan for how we go back, when we go back, what that transition is going to look like, and then again, as others groups have so well said, the equity policy and how that is changing how that is going to change to acknowledge and bring along the kids who have been more adversely impacted with the lack of resources during e-learning, so that we know that we already had kids that were I think everybody knows that, this is affecting everybody on a much different level. I mean, even I, on a daily basis, I'm like, my husband and I will sit and spend 10 minutes trying to figure out how to get into a link. And I'm like, no single mom with bad internet, if it's taking us 20 minutes, this is going to be insurmountable for a lot of people with less time and less bandwidth. So that is a huge thing that we want to know. That was the end of our list, I think. Yeah.
Great topics. Well done, Group 4. Jenny Faulkner, Group 3, who's going to present for y'all?
I took notes, so I'm happy to do it. We were
sorry for the confusion
because of the tech challenges, but I think we got it. We were able to do very brief introductions and then walk through. I gave some examples, so get the juices going. So we'd like, and some of these will definitely overlap, so I apologize because we came in late, so missed what the others had said. But an update from our new director on the Equity and Inclusion Director. I believe he came and spoke at one of the sessions at the end of last year, close to the end of the last year. So just, again, the work that's being done there and sort of the progress being made and what the plans are for the coming year. With the upcoming election, obviously there's some expectation that there's going to be very divisive. And so, how we're preparing the students, how the administration is going to prepare the students for open dialogue, open and respectful dialogue, and sort of being able to respond to that, especially, in this different environment that we're all operating in, right? The other thing that changed to the discipline process this year, and how that will look, again, as we sort of move back gradually, it sounds like, and what Dr. Pruitt-Adams touched on in terms of how as they bring kids back into the building. How the administration will handle the social emotional fallout of everything we've been going through in the last 6 to 9 months, and the impact that's having on our students. And again, as they come back, and as they continue to operate like this, but then also as they come back, how to address that and move forward. I heard touched on this as well already, the partnerships with Triton and local companies and work study. I think Mr. Johnson presented on this last year along, and I can't think of her name, someone else who is new to the role, where they were really working to build out these partnerships, learn more about those, how those are coming along. And an update on the Reimagine project and the construction and what's slower, faster costs, what the expectations are. That they've been able to get more done because of with people not being in the building. So just really get an update on that. And I think those were all the topics. If I missed anything, by all means, Group 3, let me know. But I think those were all the topics we touched and brought forward.
Excellent. Well done, everybody. Great reporting. I know there's some comments in the comment section of other ideas that have been posted as well. So what will happen is the lead team will get together. We'll take these topics, put them together, and then send them on to the district administration. And then they'll help us form the response back for the upcoming meetings through the year. So really am excited about hearing on all these topics. Great ideas and things that I know that we'll want to hear from. I can tell you that we definitely will hear reports on the Imagine program. We will hear reports on the finances of the district, as well as the capital campaign that's forthcoming. So that will all be done, and that will be included in some of those meetings as well. So thank you everybody for taking time just to share your thoughts and your ideas. As we move forward, we are definitely going to get out early tonight. That's a good thing. So, but what I do want to make time for is a moment that we allow any council members, community council members, to make announcements about different projects they're involved in, maybe campus-wide or community-wide. So if you have something that you want to share in the form of an announcement of a community event going on, please feel free to unmute and make your announcement.
I would like to give a plug for the Community Recreation Center. I do work for the Park District of Oak Park, and we're working hard. I am working hard in conjunction with the Parks Foundation, a nonprofit organization that is raising the funds both through grants, foundations, and private funding to build a community recreation center that will be free, open and free to youth from middle and high school from 3 to 6 every day, which is a huge important piece of our community right now. So if you have any questions, let me know.
Excellent. Kate, is there a website, or is there any kind of formal information that we can track down?
Absolutely. I'll put a link in the chat, but if you go to the pdop.org, parkdistrictoakpark.org, you'll find a link to the CRC, Community Recreation Center. The site is at Madison and Harvey. The land has been donated and is ready, shovel ready, waiting for us to raise the money to build the building.
Amazing. Amazing. Any other announcements?
There is the, I don't know, some of you may have heard about this community music project that's happening, I believe it's a Saturday, October 10th. No, it must be the, Saturday. It's being kind of promoted by a group called Lift Your Voice. And it's at 6:30 local time. Everybody's supposed to go outside of their house and play an instrument, and they're all playing the Simple Gifts. So I can put the link for it in the chat if people are interested, but it doesn't matter how well you play. I mean, my son's gonna go out there with his tenor sax and honk away, and but they have music. On the link you can get the music to download so that you can play the simple tune on your instrument. And so it's just kind of a COVID era thing, just to kind of bring people together and some unity, some music. So yeah, I'll put that link in the chat, and you can check it out if you're interested.
What was the date for that, Ginger?
It's Lift Your Voice is the name of the organization that's promoting it, and it's a community music project is kind of what they're referring to it as. So yeah, let me put that in there.
Did you have a date for that or no?
It's October 10th. It's Saturday at 6:30 p.m. is when everybody's supposed to go out and do it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Excellent. Any other announcements from the committee?
Yes, I have an announcement. Kuma Kids is a African and Caribbean and hip hop dance program, and registration started September the 21st, and it will be going up until October the 16th. I think it'd be a great way to help our teenagers to kind of exert some energy and also give all kids with different background and cultures the opportunity to be exposed to different dance, kind of get in shape, enjoy some good music. So I'll put that in the link as well.
Thank you so much.
And the class run from children between the ages of 5 and 18. So you can have, brothers and sisters, siblings can come. They have to be young as 5 and old as 18.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Robert Wilson, you had your hand raised?
Yeah, I sure do. This may be a little deeper kind of topic, but back to the equity plan and diversity, equity, and inclusion. There's a state legislator who actually has River Forest as part of his jurisdiction. Chris Welch is his name, and he's introduced bills that have already been passed into law that deal with organizations in the state of Illinois around having board diversity, both gender as well as people of color. And in the last number of months, he's also introduced a few other pieces of legislation that may or may not make it through the House this year. They may or may not be in session this year, but I'll make a note to myself to also talk to Dr. Pruitt-Adams and Dr. LeVar Ammons about this, who's the director of diversity and inclusion, I think, at OPRF. But you know, I think there's also an opportunity for OPRF to try to be a leader in this. I mean, I think we've been talking about diversity and inclusion for years, right? A lot of people are wondering what can be done to take the next step here, right? Rather than just saying, I'm an advocate and I read a book. And again, I love the idea of reading a book and talking about it, because I think that's a good way at least to start the conversation, because many people aren't even having the conversation. But for people that are hoping to do more, and you know, Chris Welch is an interesting example of a person who's trying to hold, you know, life insurance companies, banks, a lot of other people, hold them more accountable for, you know, kind of the situation from a racial injustice perspective. So I do think that there may be the opportunity to say, hey, here's some stuff that's going on in the legislature in Illinois. Maybe it's not obvious how OPRF can get involved in that, but again, it's possible that there's groups either that are part of this community council, or maybe it's other sidebars on the E-team or otherwise that can see, hey, the alumni network at OPRF should be pretty robust. And if there aren't senior leaders that are doing business in Illinois, that we can't get in front of companies, right, that may already be looking for them, you know, depending on their industry. I guess the question is, how can we be more thoughtful so that the kids that are in school today can say, hey, this is how I'm trying to get access to these opportunities. This is how I'm trying to get access to learning about different industries. And again, that's also part of what we were trying to get to, that Summer was trying to summarize my long-winded commentary on. And so I think, I'm not proposing to host the 1 hour session, but maybe the point is, you know, that there's a lot that, again, communities of color have been kicking and screaming for a long time. And if the white community is not listening and engaged and trying to actually take concrete steps to make things happen, things may never get done. And so what can we do today if these are things that we care about, and this is something our school community cares about, in theory, that we can actually try to, you know, come up with some objectives in the near and long term.
Yeah.
Message me privately if you're interested in hearing more about it. I'll spare the rest of you the rest of my potentially further long-winded commentary.
Well, Robert, I think it's good commentary, and I think it actually is a topic that many of us we're passionate about. We want to be involved in the process. Let me ask for the council and for you, Robert, like what do we bring to the table for the administrators as far as what, like, for them to report on or for them to engage on? I think that's kind of where we're here to kind of encourage them and to hear what their policy or what their step is. So as a council, what is the best step for us to ask them to bring to the table in response to the planning for student involvement in that, you know, training up students, getting students prepared in that, but also how can the community as a whole be a part of that?
Was that a rhetorical question, or did you want me to hazard some commentary on it?
Well, I think anybody could answer some commentary, because I think, you know, what are we trying, like, what do we want the district administration, what we're asking for them to give us reports on what's happening on campus, in campus, and around campus. So how do we take that bit and get it to them in a way that they can say, okay, this is what we're doing in that arena.
They can be supporting the detracking of curriculum and sure that that is still front and center, and also educating the community as well as their own staff and students about the efforts that State Rep or Senator Welch and Cook County Commissioner Brandon Johnson are doing.
Yeah, I agree. I think for this topic, the racial equity piece that will be presented, I know in one of the sessions coming forward, may speak to a lot of that, Robert. But I think also, like, providing an outlet for community to know of some of the other opportunities as well, and for engaging again. Like Renee said earlier, engaging, you know, the One Book, One Oak Park, that idea, like bringing that to the table, bringing those kinds of ideas, that this is something we're all interested in being a part of. We all want to play a part in this opportunity to bring people together. Ross?
So if we, how does the topics get chosen? It sounds like we're brainstorming tonight. There'll be a list of ideas, and do we bring what we want to the administration and superintendent, or do they tell us what they want to address? Because I just want to make sure I understand, as a new committee member, are we asking them to present to us, or can they, how does that work?
Yeah, so there are some topics that they've already leaned in on, and they'll present in the upcoming months. Just some of the things that are already, for instance, the Imagine OPRF project, the capital campaign coming, the finance report, at the end of the year, the report on student academics, and the report for where students are headed as far as college, where they're going, next steps out of high school. So those are all some of the things that are typically a part of the reports that happen. For all of the brainstorming ideas, the lead team, John, Jenny, Brandy, and I will get together, put all these ideas together, and then present the top, you know, some of the ideas were from each group, present the top ones to the administration, and then they'll form the calendar for the rest of the year and present to us based off of those ideas.
Okay.
The idea, Ross, is that, you know, we as council members take that information and disseminate it and share it with our networks, so that people understand what the administration is doing, right, on these topics, and share that out to spread the word, because it's just another forum. And then if people need and want to get involved in, you know, influencing that and change, then they would engage in those other channels, like through board membership and other means, to help influence the direction that the administration would be going. So this group, we're really taking the information and pushing it out, versus we're not directing it, influencing it specifically, if that makes sense.
No, it does. That's helpful.
If I could maybe make two suggestions based on my experience last year and Ross's question. I'd love to have more of a dialogue when they present. My recollection last year is it's often a presentation with time for maybe 2 or 3 questions, and then, no offense, they're often running to another meeting, or we're running out of the meeting. So I think many of us in our work lives, I would make 2 suggestions. One suggestion would be, when they choose what they're going to present on, we can have the subject matter of the presentation before the council meeting to digest it, so we're not digesting it first at the council meeting. And then my second suggestion would be, whatever time is allotted, that we allot significant time for discussion, because it is a lot of presentation, and then we're expected to go disseminate it. I'd like to have a discussion. I think that's why many of us are on board with this community council and trying to be a part of it.
Yeah. Thanks.
I think that's a wonderful idea. I think, the board is so stressed with time, particularly now. And if you make a public statement or want to engage with the board level, there's not an opportunity to actually engage. It's just not the right forum, right? So that's okay. But if we're a community council trying to have better dialogue, we then can take that information to the community and say, hey, you might have misunderstood that. What I understand it to be is X, Y, and Z. But if we don't have a dialogue, we don't get that opportunity.
Right. Here's what I would recommend, everybody, and this is what you can, a little bit for expectation moving forward, is typically the week prior to the meeting, you'll receive an invitation email, a reminder email from John or Brandy. It will include the agenda, and if it is a report that's being given that is prepared, you'll get the actual report in advance. So you'll see that report. I would encourage everybody, it's in your best interest to read it in advance and then be prepared. And we do allow, today was different. And again, we're gonna have to exercise grace and patience through this, but you will get a chance typically after the superintendent's report to engage in comments even before the report. So before whatever the big presentation is. So after their report, we'll get a chance for some other dialogue. Then they'll make the presentation, and then from there we'll open the floor for some more discussion, and we definitely will bring that to the table. So I think it's all great. I think everybody's ideas are great. I believe this is going to be really an exciting year to be a part of community council, because there are so many topics that are so important for our community, that are so important for our families, that require us all to lean in just a little bit more and pay attention to what's happening in and around us. So for that, community council, I say thank you for being a part of this. I hope you enjoy it as much as I have. This is my 4th year on this panel. And to be able to hear back and forth from the district has been encouraging to me. I believe it's going to be a great year. And so look forward for that email that invites you to the November meeting. It will for sure have the agenda. It should have the actual presentation that will be given. And then from there, a chance for opening comments and then also response to that presentation. So if there's no other announcements for the community council, I would like to take this opportunity to say thank you for joining us tonight. It's been an exciting call. Looking forward to joining again together in November. And with that, I'm gonna hit the gavel and say this meeting is adjourned. Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.
Yay, it worked. All right. Always fingers crossed that the technology will do what it's supposed to do. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hello. I don't know who's supposed to be in here, so we'll just give a couple minutes to make sure everybody made it to the other side here, and then we'll get started. Give me 1 second. Let me pull up my little notes here.
I'm Leilani. My name came up as my son's name. I don't know why.
It's okay. It is totally fine. Yeah, sometimes I come up as weird things too, like on my cell phone, it comes up as weird. I think it's because my kids log in or use my phone.
Yeah.
But it's okay. All right, cool. Just gonna flip that. All right. All right, I think this is it. It looks like there's 6 of us from what I can see. Yay, 1, 2, or yeah, roughly. Oh, here's one more. Kiwan, is it Kiwan? Am I saying that right? My co-host here. You're doing
Yeah,
all
I'm
you're
just one of the
doing-
techs.
Okay, you're doing all the heavy lifting for me. Awesome. All right, so I'll just introduce myself. I guess we could do a little brief introduction, right? And then we'll talk about our plan here. I'm Brandy Wyndham. I'm the co-secretary this year. This is my 3rd year on community council. I see some familiar faces. You may remember me. I'm the one with the 6 kids, which is totally fine. I'm used to that title at this point. Proud mom of 6, proud mom of a Marine, 3 boys, 3 girls. My last kid just started high school. So I have a freshman, junior, and a senior this year, 2 in college, and the oldest is in the Marines. So I'm broke because they're eating everything. As soon as I bring it in, it leaves right back out. So we're trying to keep up. And then maybe we'll just go through and let everyone else introduce themselves really quick. And then we'll try to get to our list, right? Making our list of important topics for this year. All right. I guess, does anybody want to go next? Or
I'll jump in just so I can identify myself other than what it's saying on the screen.
Okay.
I don't know how to switch from my personal account to my Ping Zoom account,
yeah.
which we just purchased. So, but I'm Ginger Yarrow. I'm not pingoprf@gmail.com. That's just the organization that I am president of. So I'm learning.
Oh, yeah, Ping. I love Ping.
And yes, yay, Ping. So I'm the mom of 2 boys. One graduated from OPRF last year. The other one graduated, but he's in the transition program, the site transition program. So he's in his 2nd year of that. I am, like I said, president of Ping. So that's what I spend most of my time doing. And my younger son is a freshman at Marquette now.
Awesome. Heather, you didn't miss anything other than me saying who I was. I'm Brandy, the co-secretary, the mom of 6, if you've been in community council before. So we're just going around introducing ourselves really quick, and then we'll hopefully get to our list of important topics. All right, does somebody else want to jump in?
I can rename.
Hi, I'm Leilani Workman, despite it saying Carter, that's my son. I am brand new to the community council.
Renaming myself.
Okay.
Brand new to community council, and my son is a freshman. So totally new to OPRF and excited to be here.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Welcome. All right, just jump on in, guys.
Hello, I'm Kabrib Henry, new to community council. My daughter graduated last year from OPRF and 1st year at UIC. Then we have a 3-year-old and 1 more on the way in January because my wife convinced me we should start over, but no, all good.
I will keep you in my prayers. Okay.
Hi, I'm Corey Kodama. This is my 2nd year on the council. I have a daughter who is a junior, and I have a son who is in his 2nd year of college, but he's not going to college right now. He's taking a break. So he is here at home tutoring a lot of kids from OPRF.
Awesome, welcome. Who else we're missing?
I'm Ed Borelli, 2nd year on the council. I have 2 daughters. One's 10, one's 11. I don't have a high schooler, but glad to be on the council, helping influence the direction that the school's going in and just being a part of the community. So I'm happy to be here.
Welcome, Ed.
I guess I'll jump in. I'm Heather Ash Chantiolo. Depending on where you see me on Facebook or in the community, I have 1 son. He was a freshman last year at OPRF. He's since moved to IMSA. And my daughter is an 8th grader at Brooks this year. So she'll be at the high school next year. Hi, Ginger. looking out the back window. I've done community council in other communities before, so I really enjoy being able to be part of this process. And thank you. This is my first year.
Awesome. Is that everybody? I think we got everybody. Yes. Yay. All right. Welcome, everybody. So we'll go ahead and get started. Those of you who have been a part of community council before are kind of familiar with this process. What we do is we kind of just talk about different topics, like brainstorm within our group, topics that are important to us, and things that we think we should talk about within the council. And then we come back to our larger groups and kind of share amongst everybody the things that we talked about. And then the leadership of the council will meet and kind of look for themes, right, of things that a lot of people are saying that we need to do. And that could be anything, like we've talked about vaping and drug use in the past, safety, security, the changes with curriculum, with like the changes to the honors track, things like that for incoming freshmen, things like that. So anything that is important to you, we can talk about. I'll keep notes, or actually, since I'm the secretary, can one of you volunteer to keep notes, right? And then we'll share that with the group once we get back. Do I have a volunteer to take notes and possibly share when we get back to the general group? Wow, such an eager bunch. This feels, I teach college, by the way. So Heather, you'll volunteer, thank you. I teach college, it feels very similar, only I usually don't see faces.
Where do you
right?
teach college, Brandy?
Morton College.
Okay, I was at Triton.
Okay, so feels very
That's why I volunteered. I'll save you.
So Heather will take notes and volunteer to talk about it when we get back to our group. Let's go ahead and kick it off. Any topics that you guys would love to see or hear? And again, usually what we do is we come up with a list. We invite speakers, usually someone from administration at the high school, and they come and share those things. And also they have things that are going on or coming up, like the racial equity program or the Imagine program. They'll come and talk about those things. So they bring some stuff, we kind of suggest some things, and we meet in the middle. So I'll open it up to you guys to kind of any ideas or things that are just really, really important to you that you want to hear about this year.
For me, I'd like an update on the racial equity plan or progress and what's going on with that. I think that's important. Also, any conversations about the resource officers and that whole conversation. So I would like to know more about what's going on with all of that.
So with the resource officers, are you speaking like about the use of police officers, non-police, no police?
Right.
Yeah, I have no idea, so that would be a good one for me to
I thought
know.
that they said in one of the previous board meetings that the board voted against renewing the contract.
Right. I think that's.
I'd just like to hear more about.
So we should,
yeah,
we should hear more.
Right. And what, I mean, it would be interesting to hear. So yeah, we're taking that resource away, but what are they doing in its place to sort of serve the functions, a lot of the non-police functions that resource officer actually, sort of took care of, or, what services are we going to put in place of that? It would be interesting to see how they're going to move forward with that.
Awesome.
I think an update on the construction. I mean, it's because none of us are over at the school. I mean, who knows what's going on? It would be really great to hear. I mean, there was an article in the paper today about how they want more money for just basic yearly maintenance. They want to increase it from, I think it's 4 million a year to 6 million a year over the next 10 years. But I haven't heard a lot about like what is actually happening over there. Are they on schedule? Are they on budget? Are they, what phases have been completed, et cetera?
Mm-hmm. That's a good one too. Yeah, I think the last that I heard is that they were scaling some things back, that the budget was getting too big, but I don't know. I can't give you a source. I think that's what I heard. So yeah, it would be good to hear what's going on. Any other topics?
As we're coming back into the building, I want to know if we're going to be updated and in what sense in terms of transmission of COVID cases. How frequently? I know we have the Oak Park Health Department doing it 3 times a week. That's fairly anonymous. I would certainly like to know more about, once we're in person, what the transmission rate is looking like.
Right, like specific to the high school. And
Yes. Like, I don't care in the community. I want to know at the high school, like today we had 3 cases, now we got 10. Is it like the White House? You know.
Is anything like the White House, Heather?
I'm just, that was my one tip, but no, I'm just going to be quiet.
Okay, so COVID updates. How are they going to handle communication with regard to cases? I know it's frustrating. You know, working at the college is really frustrating. We get updated every time there's a case, but that's it. Couldn't tell you who it is.
Right.
So I have to go do my investigative work to go figure out, you know, they will tell you what date, because we are in this like a hybrid schedule too. So everybody's not there.
Okay.
So they will give you a date, but they won't tell you anything if it's a student, staff, anything. So
do they even tell you if you have been in close contact? Because that worries me. Like, remember when whooping cough came out, you know, and we were getting letters? Like, is everyone in the classroom going to get a letter, or is it just going to be like, hey, 3 people are positive?
We get a like an announcement to say, you know, we have 1 case, but I have heard from people who have been exposed.
Okay.
They have been contacted. So no
Got
news is good news, right? If you haven't been contacted.
You're not going to be traced.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to think about other topics outside of things that are related to COVID, which is bad. I mean, we need to be like thinking about the equity stuff and thinking about, you know, because again, it's like all that stuff about the freshman curriculum and, you know, it just seems like ancient history now, you know, and yet it's still an issue. I mean, we still have, you know, they still had things that they were going to introduce and it just, I mean, maybe it's just me because my kids aren't, it's probably me because my kids aren't in the building anymore. One's graduated, the other one's, you know, doing site, that I'm less in contact with the sort of the buzz out there. But I mean, I suppose, you know, an update on, what are they, because they pulled back on the freshman curriculum. Are they, what's going on with that, you know? So I almost feel like we might end up revisiting a lot of the topics that we covered on the council last year because we've just been all kind of removed from it. So, but.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see that happening too. Because it does seem like we've just kind of been frozen in time because of the current, you know, because of the immediate issue. So yeah, freshman curriculum, couldn't tell you where that's at either. So that probably is a good one. Hey, what about some new folks?
Yeah.
Anything that's like keeping you up at night other than the 3-year-old or? Poor thing. I have my best friend just had a baby. Her oldest is 17 and she has a 1-year-old. So I laugh at her.
It's madness. Yes, it is.
Yes.
But, you know,
2 separate lifetimes.
it is.
With your older one and then now a whole different set.
Yeah. I mean, she's down the street at UIC, so she comes back every now and then to help out. But the babysitter has moved out, which is, yeah.
That's not good.
But I mean, you guys pretty much covered what I was going to ask about was COVID testing, and that are they doing contact tracing, or is that not really being done? Or is there a plan for that?
Well, the village does contact tracing. The question is who's cooperating with contact tracing, and the answer to that is not enough people.
Gotcha. And
and we want to know what the plan, what the administration has a plan for the high school.
Exactly. Right.
And we need to ask them that because we don't know.
Right.
And then also River Forest is not included in the Oak Park numbers.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's like whatever your numbers are, it still doesn't include all of us over here on this side of Harlem.
Where do you get your numbers then? Is it Cook County?
Cook County, yeah.
And is it by zip code?
Look at, yeah, and then you could look at zip code after that, but it's Cook County first.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I have a random thing. I don't even know if it's in the purview of this community. So 2 kids, full-time remote learning. And guess what, guys? We're the olds now. So one thing I've noticed, even though they kind of belong to clubs, they have no concept of how to make friends online.
Yeah.
Especially when they don't have a history with the school, so they can't go in classes, they don't know everybody. And I'm wondering if someone who is not us, with some pull with the students, if there is something going on at the high school or something the high school could do to really kind of give tips for how do you make friends in an environment like this? Like
That's a good idea.
Granular, I was trying to coach my son today, and you know how well that goes, but just you look for someone who you have something in common with, you get on the chat, you send an email, hey, we both kind of do the same thing, what do you think? And of course I'm an idiot, so
I got the same thing for my son. No way.
Okay. Right.
Not a chance.
Yeah, that's hard if you're a first year. So yeah, for sure. I think that's a good idea.
And even for, just the kids who do have friends, making new friends, they don't quite know how to do it in a virtual situation. And I don't want to put it on the teachers to have to do that, but it would help to facilitate that with breakout groups and stuff like that.
Because you lose that sort of informal stuff that happens in those 5-minute passing periods, before things settle down at the start of class and you exchange a few words with the kid sitting at the desk next to you. That we're all in our squares, in our boxes here, and how do you don't have those side conversations.
Anyone encouraging you hey, come to this meeting with me today after school, let's join this club,
That's not happening. Yeah,
not happening.
Yeah.
I think it feels artificial to them in a way that it's it's kind of artificial. And if you're not used to making friends in general, my son is complete introvert and friends happen to him. My daughter is more outgoing, but even she's I don't want to, they feel it's weird to put themselves out there in that way. And I some kind of training for them to know that that's acceptable and we're going to facilitate that, I think would really help them.
Right.
That's tough. We have enough friends in our house, so.
I had too many friends.
I talk to your sister, but no, I get it. That's tough. That's really tough. Anyway, okay, so I'm sitting here trying to fix your problem, thinking about it, what did I don't know. Maybe the teachers do need to do more group projects and things like that so they can talk amongst themselves or go into a little chat room like we're doing,
Although I think I saw in response to, it was one of the surveys that they did, and the kids said, forget the breakout rooms. They suck. It's like, okay, how are you guys gonna, how are you gonna have some sort of little small group or one-on-one contact if you don't do the breakout rooms? So,
Of course they did.
yeah, exactly. Because,
Well, if it's school related, they don't want to have to do, I mean, I don't want to do group work either because that's awful. But what happens between the group work and then the individual, like I think Leilani, you were saying that it, like when you're just kind of, hey, are you going to do this thing after class? Like how do you virtually move from the group situation into that personal situation?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like what's acceptable? The teachers can only do so much. Like finding the suggestions to here's how you get personal with other people.
Right. So Brief has brought to our attention, well, we have no minutes left now. But any other hot topics before we jump back into the other room? Anything else that you guys can think of? I think we have some good topics. I'm sure when we go back, we'll hear the same topics, right? When we go
I would like to throw out one advisory, just talking about advisory and how that's working. And I know right now I don't want it to turn into this whole crazy thing, which I think it is, but just an update on how they're reconfiguring that or what they're thinking about, because that's been such an issue.
Or they're just going to get rid of it, is what my kids would vote for. No advisory. But that's a whole
But see, I think advisory could be something that we could do what you were just talking about.
Yes, a way to,
the thing about how to help make friends and talking about that to me, that would be a great use of advisory, but you can't do it right now because it's too short.
Yeah, it's like 10 minutes, right?
It's very short, right? Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we have to go.
Okay. All right, so I will meet you back on the other side.
All right,
bye.
Everyone. All there.
Let's see. Thanks, Kiwan.
No problem.
Yes, I can hear you, Mark.
Yeah, I'm
Here
here.
we go. Technology is great when it works. It's a pain when it doesn't. Was there some action items or any topics we were supposed to discuss in this breakout?
I'm not sure who was in charge of that.
Okay. Well, I'm new to the council, so have you guys been involved for the last couple of years, or
I
are you also new?
have, but I didn't get any information about. Okay, now we're getting emails saying go back to the main Zoom line. There's a problem. We knew that.
All
So
right.
you're telling us to go back to the main Zoom line.
Got it. All right. I guess we'll see you guys there.
Okay, if we can figure that out.
Oh, are we going
Yeah.
back? Because we just got the passcode to get in here.
Oh, okay.
Oh. You can
Yeah, so
certainly wait.
there was about 5 of us who the link wasn't working for, and it was asking us for a passcode. So in the main Zoom meeting, they were just able to provide us with the passcode. So I have a feeling that you'll have a few more folks hopping on.
Okay.
Okay. Hopefully they have some agenda items. Devolved into, I have 3 screens going now because there's so many different meetings and links. Trying to get all of them to work.
Let's see. Okay.
So how long have you guys been on the council?
This is my last year. So it's the second year of my second term.
Oh,
This is my first.
first year? Okay. Same here. Do you guys have kids still at the high school?
My daughter's a sophomore.
Huh?
I have my youngest is a senior. I had two others graduate, one in, let's see, what are we, 2018, and one in 2019, and one in 2016.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
I just have a freshman
Okay.
come in, trying to figure his way around e-learning.
Hi, everybody. Sorry about that. It had to reboot everything, and yeah, technology. I mean,
Here we are.
wasn't sure it was gonna let me in. So I'm Jenny Faulkner. I know Sharice, right? Sharice, no, Natalie, right?
Yep, it's me.
Okay, sorry, I'm trying to find the name. Sorry, I'm apparently logged in now as my husband because I don't know what my own Zoom password is. So, I apparently didn't put it in the password vault, or it's on my phone and it didn't sync. I'm not sure. So anyway, welcome all, and sorry for the delays. And sorry, who did I interrupted someone who was introducing themselves, so I apologize.
No, I'm Mark Jackson. I was just saying, introducing myself.
Hi, Mark. Nice to meet you.
Meet you as
Yeah,
well.
why don't we go around. So Mark, sorry, is this your first year? I have the roster
Yes.
flipping back and forth too much, so I'm gonna just stay right here. So first year, and how many kids at the high school, not at the high school?
I have one son at the high school as a freshman.
Okay. Great.
Getting started.
Okay. All right, and I'll let you go around. See my screen here. There's got Mark. Christopher Schultz.
I am currently the technical director, so I am tech for the Zoom.
Okay. Thank you. And Michelle.
So this is my first year, and my daughter's a sophomore.
Great, welcome. Natalie, I know you've been here at least for the no, I guess this is my third year, so.
Yeah, so this will be my fourth year. And I was saying I have a senior, I have a 2019 graduate and a 2016 graduate.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right, Isabella?
Actually, it's Rebecca. That's my daughter's name. I have no idea why that came up.
I'm my husband, so you know.
Identity crisis. My daughter's a sophomore, and this is my first year with this group.
Okay, well, welcome.
Thank you.
All right, and last but not least, Leslie. Hi. Oh, we can't hear you.
She's on mute.
Mute.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know what's going on. I've dialed in on my phone, but then anyway.
Oh, it muted again.
Leslie Truelove. I have a sophomore at OPRF, and I've been on the council. Was on the council last year, and looking forward to this year as well. I also have see him behind me, a sixth grader at Julian.
So. I'm Jenny Faulkner. I have a senior and I have a sophomore. And it's my third year on the council. I'm co-chairing with Chuck this year. And I'm not quite sure how I got that, but happy to do it. And then, yeah, and I'm also a park graduate. So anyway, I know we're at 10 after, but given the technical difficulties, I think we can give ourselves 5 minutes to just, so typically So I know we have a couple first years, but basically just thinking about ideas or topics that you would like to have the administration bring and present to the group, so that we can then take that information back out into our communities, to our neighbors, to our networks in the community, so they can learn more about what's happening, all the great things that are happening at the high school, and maybe just things you just want to understand and know more of. You know, and our role really is then to take that and disseminate that so people do know what's going on. And then so that if they do have, you know, differing views or whatever it is, that they can work that up through the appropriate channels. That's not really through us per se. It's going to be through, you know, the other groups that work with the school and the administration. If I'll open it up to anybody who has, you know, anything in particular they'd really like to hear more about this year, or maybe it's building on a topic from last year that you remember that, you know, you wanted to learn more about or see how things are progressing. So just I will open it up to the group if someone would like to start. No? Anyone? So maybe some topics from last year. So like they've gone over the finances, right? The Reimagine project, or the Imagine project, I shouldn't say Reimagine, the education part. The dual credit programs that they're building with Triton and with Concordia. We've had great presentations about just mental health and vaping and things like that. You know, really how they're shifting the focus that, you know, not everyone is, you know, going to go to college, right? That's not everyone's path. So what are the other paths that are available to our, you know, student population, and what they're doing to build those out and, you know, really make that more transparent and available so that earlier in our students' path as they're starting out, right, as freshmen, you kind of can see that it's not just one path, right? You know, not every kid is destined for college for whatever reason. And so they're really, you know, things like that. Natalie, help me out. I'm trying to think of some other topics that maybe.
That was pretty comprehensive, I'd say. I'm trying to think.
The equity programs, right? Like the regional equity and everything that we're trying to do there. The curriculum, changing curriculum, which obviously is getting pushed back with everything that's going on, in terms of creating like almost like a holistic modeling track for the freshmen, taking the modeling track that they've applied in the sciences and apply that to incoming freshmen so that everyone's on even footing, right? Things like that. I'm trying to think what other topics over the last couple of years. I probably could flip through my notebook and come up with some. But if that triggers anything for anybody that maybe you'd like to hear more about, or like have them bring it back, because sometimes it's been a couple of years maybe since we've heard on a topic.
So obviously not knowing what was covered last year, I mean, I'd be interested to know from the DE&I perspective, you know, what is the school doing? I know that there's obviously a new director of equity, right, at the school. So I don't know how much that was obviously discussed last year, but I think, you know, from my perspective as a parent, I don't feel like I've heard enough as to what the school is doing on that. And then the other topic that I would bring up is with the upcoming election and, you know, it being potentially very divisive, how is the school preparing for any divisiveness that may, you know, come up, and how are they helping our kids understand and be able to have respectful dialogues where they may be coming from very different points of view when it comes to their political beliefs and what they believe is happening from an election standpoint.
Sure, I think that's great. Yeah, and I feel like we had the new, and I'm sorry, I can see his face. My name is escaping me. I'm going to Rouse, but that's not.
Greg Johnson, is that who you're thinking of, Jenny?
No, who is the gentleman who joined us last year? He came at like the last meeting. I think I only got to hear him speak once, that I missed at cool meetings. I'll have to think of it, but we'll bring that back for sure.
Just real quick, Jenny, one of the other things that we've talked about in past, I'm not sure if it was last year or in previous years, but there's been a change this year to the discipline process. So I think that's worth discussing.
Yep, absolutely. Okay.
Would it be possible to find out what the administration is going to do for, this is kind of anticipating, but there's sure to be emotional and social fallout from the e-learning isolation, and it's more natural for teenagers to be together. They can't do that right now. Will there be some discussion over how the school can help with that once we do all come back together?
We can put on the docket. So what we'll do is we'll come back together with the other group and we'll join them momentarily. I just got something from John. Sorry, let me see what he's saying real quick. Okay, that's fine. We'll go back to them momentarily. But what we'll do is we'll bring these all back, right? And then we'll sort of stack rank them, if you will, with the larger group. And then we'll present them to the administration. And then from there, then the administration will sort of look like, okay, well, this fits with this. And hey, we actually were thinking we want to come to you at this during this month on this topic. So for example, when we met with a smaller group of Chuck and John and Brandy and I back in August, and then we met with Dr. Pruitt-Adams and Mr. Johnson, they had already said, hey, there's a couple things, like it would be great if we could present them this month and that month, you know, like that they kind of had on their horizon. And I suspect these things, some of these things will line up and overlap. So, and given we're going to be a month shorter this year and everything going on, we won't get to everything, but you know, it helps because sometimes they can consolidate things, so, or group things together. So, okay. All right. So, Mark, anything?
Yeah.
Any topics that you're interested in?
No, I was at one of the council meetings last year, and one of the topics had to do with the Triton program that was discussed, as well as working with other companies in the area for students during the school day, as well as, like you said, beyond college. I'm sorry?
Like a work study program?
Yeah, a work study program. I can't remember who the gentleman that spoke about it, but they were discussing having other programs with local businesses, as well as businesses downtown. That sounded interesting for technology, as well as other skills that would be highly useful in the future.
Okay. Yeah, I think it was Greg Johnson who gave that presentation, because he's been building a lot of those, working on a lot of those. And I'm trying to think of, they had, again, I think someone who sort of moved into a new position as well, who was taking the lead on that. And
okay.
Escaping me, but it was one of the presentations towards the end of the year. So yes, we'll
right.
Put that out there. Leslie, how about yourself? You're on mute.
I think the coming back in the hybrid model is obviously, you know, better understanding that. That was mentioned earlier with Dr. Pruitt-Adams and the update. I also would, with everything going on, what's happening with the Reimagine program and all the construction, is that moving faster than planned because the kids haven't been in school, or have they slowed it down? I think I read something about the budget in the Wednesday Journal being higher than, and they were cutting back some things. So just an update from the administration on that.
Yep, absolutely. I do believe
yeah.
that was one of the topics Dr. Pruitt Adams had mentioned to us back in August. So.
And then I do agree with some of the social and emotional health of the students, since they are away and coming back. What's being available and what's being done there.
Okay. Sounds
Okay.
Good. All right. And Chris, did you tell me you're our tech support, or are you? I apologize. I'm trying to keep it all straight today.
I am your tech support for this evening.
All right, thank you. Appreciate that. So I think if that's all good with everyone, what we'll do is we'll break and we'll go back to the main meeting, and hopefully I'll get back in. Hopefully it won't block me because my husband's logged in.
Good luck.
Thanks. All right, talk to you in a minute. Thanks, everyone.
Freshman curriculum, as others talked about, obviously that's important for everyone, and how that also is like the general curriculum, how it's changing with e-learning, and how the general curriculum changes back to school.
Hello. So we should have approximately 12 people in this group, but that's if everybody came to the meeting. So we've got 3, 6, 9, 10. Okay. So my name is John Keller. Sorry about that. I'm going to be your moderator for this short little group. Can I get a hand raised for everybody who's a first-year member? Okay. So basically, this breakout session is done at the very first meeting of the year. It's designed to hear from the members in terms of what topics they would be interested in covering this year. So we're going to have approximately 9 to 10 meetings over the course of the school year. So we're going to have approximately 9 to 10 subjects that we're going to put to the board to have them present to us on. So these can be topics that obviously are related to the school and the community, and things that you're most interested about, and or things that you're getting questions about from other people in the community. So for example, if somebody had some confusion about the new curriculum that we were going to launch, that might be a topic that we would cover during the course of the year. We would have a presenter come to a meeting and explain to us the curriculum and answer any questions that you might have. So these would be individual topics that you would like to have covered. So first off, I'd like to ask if one of you is willing to be the secretary for this meeting and write down our ideas and then present them back to the entire group later. Who's willing to do that? Because I am not. I'm a horrible writer, and no one will be able to read my handwriting. I have the handwriting of a serial killer, so it's as good as it gets. Anybody?
I'd be happy to. This is my 3rd year, so.
Good. Summer, then you know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Summer.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions in terms of what we're trying to accomplish in the next 20 minutes?
Nope.
Okay. Go ahead. Okay. I think I'd like to hear from first-year members first, simply because you guys might have some questions, and it might be a subject that we've not covered before, and we'd like to hear about it. So if you're a first-year member, please speak up and mention anything that you'd like us to cover over the course of our program year.
This is Ross Lasuzo. This is my first year on this committee. I have 2 children at the school. I have a freshman and a junior, and one on the way. You already touched on the topic, but one of the things I am interested in is the curriculum. Not only freshman curriculum, I think that's important, obviously, to the strategic direction, but just general curriculum trends and philosophies. I think that's really important. I think there's a board meeting tonight that's presenting both the freshman curriculum, but then as well as paring down curriculum and kind of the direction. So it's kind of a broad question. I don't know. I see your name as Summer. Hopefully you get my thoughts, but freshman curriculum and then general curriculum.
Okay. Anybody else? Who's next?
I took an easy one, sorry.
That's okay. I'd like to throw one out there because we touched on it last year but never got to it, and that's a potential cell phone policy.
Yeah.
You guys interested in talking about that over the course of this year?
Yes.
Okay.
But won't it be in the context of once we're back in person? I mean, or do you think, like, how do we implement a cell phone policy while kids are e-learning?
Well, I think, I know that the administration was tackling this issue last year. They sent out a survey. Some of you may have received it.
Yeah, I was a big proponent of managing it, you know.
If I recall, the survey was almost unanimously in favor of getting rid of cell phones on some level.
Yeah.
So there is certainly a lot of frustration from parents and their students as it relates to the school handling cell phone use. I also know it's a very tricky subject, but I'm not sure that we should skip over it because we just don't know if kids are going to be back in class. And we don't know when that's going to be. We can certainly put that on the list. The entire group is going to vote on which ones we choose. But I think it's certainly one worth considering.
All right, yeah. I mean, my husband and I were just talking about it today that, you know, we just took the most plugged in generation possibly ever and made them entirely 100% super plugged in. And so to expect them to go back in person and be, that you know, that it just might be really like the worst time ever to be like, no, you can't ever have your phone after living for a year or more. But yeah, certainly it's worth seeing what the administration thinks. Yeah.
Well, if you haven't seen this yet, I would suggest that you guys watch something called Our Social Dilemma on Netflix.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of heads nod, so I'm assuming some of you have seen it.
Yeah.
I would highly recommend it.
Maybe, this is Ross again, sorry, and I'll stop talking, but as an extension of the cell phone, what you said about digital literacy in the context of cell phone communications and social media, you know, how kids are going to use that. Do we even have a social media policy at our school? You know, can kids use it to what extent? And do our board members, you know, have social media policy and the impact of our community? I mean, there's articles today about it, like how are we handling? Because it's really difficult, it's really tricky, and how do we want to handle that from a student as well as a, you know, adult perspective?
I don't know the answers to all of that. I do know that the administration and the faculty do have rules in terms of how they utilize social media.
Okay.
I know that they have some rules there. I also know that there are certain privacy rules within the framework of the school in terms of what can be discussed and what can't be. But if there's some...
I was just going to say, I think it could be interesting to understand kind of how that's evolving and expected to evolve after coming out of this, you know, time of being fully remote. You know, like I feel like policies may be being explored, you know, and what changes might come after being in this situation.
So Summer, do you think you can qualify what we just said, put it into some?
I think so. I mean, not so much an explicit question as a general exploration of what the administration thinks about this. And I mean, obviously the timing, you know, if we spend a whole nother year and we don't go back until spring of 2020, you know what I mean? It's all gonna change depending, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, you know, it's obviously a challenging year. We're going to be discussing topics that may or may not make sense until 21, 22. So,
exactly.
But I think we, sorry about that. I think my son's pizza has arrived.
Well, lots of raised hands. I mean, I don't know if we can try to treat this like a conversation and you guys just jump in, or John, do you want to call on people? How do you want to do it?
Well, raise your hand. Robert, I think you were going to say something.
Yeah, you know, ironically, I think it was this same initial conversation last year, and I think it might have been Tim, who's also a member. Were you on the council last year as well? Yeah. So one of the things I actually remember very distinctly is, you know, talking about what learning in the future is going to look like. I mean, and I do think that the fact that everybody is at home and developing their brand and, you know, really being a lot more technologically involved than even we might want them to be at the moment might be an opportunity, right, to say, in another year, we're going to have a new building, and back to Ross's comments about the curriculum, right? I mean, not just how are people from Oak Park and River Forest going to be tracked when they get here as freshmen, but like, is the education that people are getting through the 12th grade year, and for that matter, is the education that you're getting at colleges and universities today, what organizations need and want to actually have people getting a job? Like, you know, Incubator EDU is kind of a broad topic that I've kind of done some mentoring with. It's part of the OPRF School of Business. And again, that might be an opportunity to understand the possibility of reimagining, right? I mean, is calculus really something that people care about? I mean, even if you do well, and if you're going to be a math teacher, maybe you need to do it. But if 60% of the kids that are going through school are in calculus, now, you know, again, maybe that gets to questions around, well, you need to do it to get into the school that you're hoping to get into. But if you're trying to take it a couple steps further down the road, is there an opportunity for, and again, Tim, if I'm off base, you can correct me, or if this is not making any sense to anybody else, you don't need to even put it on the record. But I think the question
I'm trying to, yeah.
Right. What might actually be a productive way to try and, you know, get kids to be thinking about, you know, not only self-advocacy, but right, what does it mean 5 or 10 years down the road? Because I think the stat that maybe you gave, and if it's changed, I'd be curious to hear it, is something to the effect of, you know, 1 in 4 kids that are in, or maybe even 50% of the kids that are like in high school right now, in 20 years, they're going to be self-employed, right? They're not going to work in all likelihood for Amazon or Microsoft or Google. They're going to be doing something that's a little more entrepreneurial. So I think there's maybe a way to make that a little more concise over time, but that could certainly be another interesting topic that's not often discussed, I don't think.
So Robert, not to put words in your mouth, but maybe to paraphrase so that I can understand it better. Maybe a discussion about how we're building a curriculum for children to either take paths towards college without any thought on how that's going to play out in terms of their rest of their life. You know, what is the school doing as it relates to, you know, maybe a more vocational training? You know, maybe that's kind of where you're headed with this. I don't know. I'm just trying.
Yeah, you know, it's actually broader than that. It's every kid. Okay. And Robert's right. That stat is kind of astonishing. It's the class of 2022. So this year's juniors are going to be the first class that more than 50% of them in the next 10 years are expected to be self-employed if the current trends continue. And yet, you know, we teach financial literacy, and that's the extent of what we teach in terms of running your own business and being your own business and having that be how you know, make a living and pay the rent. So it's really way more than sort of, you know, alternative to college. It's most kids that are going to college are going to be in that situation. But we're really not preparing them for that world.
Okay.
So just for the sake of time, would it be accurate to say the way I've encapsulated the thoughts I'm hearing, is to say we'd like to hear what the administration's thoughts on the changing learning environment, and the stat that we are aware of, that the class of 2022 will be 50 to 60% self-employed in the future. And we want to know how the school is taking that into consideration, and empowering kids to have self-advocacy and the skills to be employed in that environment.
I think that's reasonable, and I think that it's also possible that you could put a carrot out there that, you know, the OPRF School of Business, again, I don't know how this was brought to my attention, frankly, but, you know, there were, you know, years ago, Tom Kofsky said, you know, I've had kids in the school here for 25 years, and I didn't know there was a School of Business at OPRF. And so, again, to the extent that Tim's kind of referring to, you know, building your brand in a variety of different ways, it's possible that this could be, you know, part of a discussion that may already be occurring in the School of Business, you know, because there's marketing classes, there's additional financial literacy stuff, there's investing stuff. I mean, you could take a lot of different electives in the School of Business, and that's not exactly necessarily trying to plug them directly, but if it's too big a topic for us to really understand in the 5 minutes that we're trying to talk about it now, maybe if we point down the road of the School of Business, right, it's conceivable that some of the staff that are in there are already trying to motivate this notion of, you know, in addition to develop, because, right, I think it's certainly beyond should we be going a vocational route or not. I mean, how does somebody get into cybersecurity? I mean, there's probably thousands of unfilled jobs in cybersecurity today, and other than an AP computer science class that may or may not be for everybody, you know, does that mean that a career in that field is out of reach? So, and I'm not saying I understand a lot about it either. I'd love to learn more about it, though.
Okay. You know what? Let's just put it to the entire group. Try and explain it as best we can. And if there's a consensus among the major group that this is something we want to tackle, then we'll figure it out. I think just for the purpose of this, we probably should just put it down, and when we get to the large group, we'll try and describe it as best we can.
Can I just add something to it?
Sure.
I think it sort of connects to what Greg Johnson and superintendent were talking about last year with the partnerships that they're having with and other entities to provide the students with other opportunities at vocational or other training. So it might be couched that way, that we get an update on what other partnerships they're looking into that help to set students on a course with respect to what Rob was saying, with the changes in the workforce and what we're seeing happening, if there are updates that they have along those lines.
Sounds good.
Can I add something to that? And actually, I'm supposed to be in breakout 3, but try as I might, I couldn't get in, and it required a password that didn't work. But so I'm here. I just decided to try this spot, and I got in.
Okay.
So I am catching on the tail end of the conversation, but the thoughts that are coming through my head, I like what you're saying, but keep in mind that ISB has specific requirements for graduation. So if students have to fulfill those requirements, they have limited time basically to take other coursework. The other thing too is a lot of universities have requirements, or maybe not so much. Well, some are requirements and some are what they're looking for, and some are looking for 4 years of language. And so all of a sudden that spot that could have been a vocational type of class that you're talking about now has to be a year of French, 4 years of French. So, or if you're in a music or if you're in orchestra, you lose that spot. So the thing is, it's the timing. That's why so many of these kids are taking those online classes or summer classes.
Well, that would be a part of the discussion. You know, what constraints the school has, what they can and cannot do, and, you know, what we can do as a group to communicate that to the community in terms of, you know, what are our capabilities. and what are the options. So it's all part of it. Yes.
Maybe this goes without saying, but I think this year, like, I'm very interested in talking about the hybrid curriculum and going back, and when we go back and what the criteria are for pulling the plug on a class or whatever. I mean, I think that's sort of the most important gating item, and I would like, as a council, to be involved in that process and hearing about it, what is being considered.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised we waited so long to finally bring that up. I'm
Yeah, we
sure
only have a few minutes.
It'll be on all 4 groups' agendas.
I'm sure.
So I guess there's only 3 groups now because group 3, for some reason, went to pieces.
Yeah.
But we only have
what
couple
exactly
minutes.
the question is, the hybrid curriculum as we phase back into in-person? Is that accurate?
How we change from now, right? You know, that we're going to stop doing this at some point and we're going to go to something else.
Okay.
What that something else is, you know. And I think it segues too. I'm very interested in things we learned this year that may change what we do going forward. You know, block scheduling, for example, maybe that's cool. Parent-teacher night by video. A lot of people like that. I mean, there's some stuff that we may like, but that's kind of a second topic.
Yeah.
It's 8:08, so everybody knows.
Yeah, it is. So if you haven't spoken up yet, please do.
This is Venus. I would like to have a topic of discussion, and that it's easily could be couched in some of the other conversations and concerns, but how the school's current equity policy is going to be nimble with regard to the fact that we've been in remote learning for this long, and that would have a huge impact, likely on Black and brown kids, greater than other kids who are more resource challenged. How the school plans on sort of, like I said, being nimble and making changes so that the trajectory for all students is still moving forward in terms of resources and in terms of peer education. So I don't know if I said it quite the same way, but I would like to know how they're going to change the equity policy, similar to all the other things that they have to change because we have had remote learning for as long as we have for this semester.
I was going to say the same thing. I want an update on the racial, social justice, racial equity issues.
Okay. Summer, do you feel like you've got that?
I was really hard to hear at the beginning.
Yeah,
So just how the equity policy changes after e-learning based on, I'm sorry, exactly, I didn't want it.
How is it going to change to meet the needs of the students, given that e-learning is likely a setback for everyone, but obviously it would be a greater setback for the kids who are already set back. So
Yeah.
how are they going to make changes to help bring everybody forward with the same velocity of it?
Okay.
Okay.
So this came up in the board meeting tonight. There's an assessment that's supposed to happen to help schools look at what happens from March to now, and then from the beginning of the school year to now. Where's everybody at? And to your point, you know, kids that were already behind are going to fall further behind. Where are we now, and what can we do to get them forward, you know, wherever they lie? So anyway.
Okay. Well, it is 8:10. So when we go back to the main room, Summer, you're going to raise your hand and say, I'm representing group 4, and here's our subjects that we'd like to have included in the program year. If anybody else had any suggestions, I would throw them in the chat room during the discussion, or you can throw them directly to Summer if for some reason she's not explaining something how you wanted it explained.
Yes, please, by all means, throw it in the chat, because the chat will then be visible, right?
Right.
And it'll be a record to the rest of the board members who are taking notes on all of this. So.
Okay. So I guess we're headed back to the main group. So we're going to be leaving this group now and just relink back to where you started.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you, Summer.
Thanks. Sure, no problem.
Thanks.